corner still alive for now. Cover from the side.
Hello, how we doing?
And that bought in the space
How are you doing?
to isolate
Doing
those
great,
duels
man.
in spawn.
How's things?
3K under his belt
Things
already.
is,
Jealous Son off to a flying
Things
start.
are
That's
finging.
Pacific,
No comments.
Things are finging, okay.
It's always players.
How much
we
Ascension you been
expect
watching?
A little bit more. From,
Decent
for now,
share.
then.
Like I haven't watched
I was gonna
everything
say,
like
there may be a
religiously,
battle
but
of some
I've
pistols
tried
here,
to
but
keep up. Honestly, I've been
bruise that's
using
being
off
sought
season
by
to
Lamarck
Chill.
relax a little bit. You know,
Yeah, that makes a lot of
and the
sense.
rest are looking to go to the other side.
This specific team
they're insane.
Lamarck
Like
has
I've
the
seen them,
troops in
but it's
place.
just that like
You can
they
see
are.
that there's not much of an opportunity
Right, it's
here
like
to pick anyone
kinda
off on the cross, so a free
True.
plant.
No, if they actually do like super well.
yeah, because it's weird because it's like it's
Moving up.
awesome and then it's not awesome. It's
Into
awesome because
heaven,
it's like
Marshall in
Premier
hand.
works,
Come back.
but then it's
Yeah.
not
Battle
awesome
on
because
his
3 of them
hands. He's already
can't
found
play
the
in your
first.
league.
The second
Yeah,
just around
which
the
ones?
corner, but he
Which
hadn't
ones
seen
are like
Frag.
are
Come
eligible?
back,
Getting into
Lloyd to
position,
LaRock.
dropping as many weapons
16,
as
16,
possible here. The
17.
goal and
Oh
well,
my
it
god!
seems like
So
Saw
Rose
are off
and
to a bit of a
what is it?
flyer.
Celasum
Already
that you have
yeah.
pronounced?
players
I think that's
left
right.
alive for Pacific
Is
and a
that
chance for a
the game
ticket
that
to
you're
make
watching
that
now as
a little
well?
bit more
Yes,
costly.
yeah. I know it's not for anything, but I can't not watch this team.
Nah, I
Already
feel
removing a
r-
decent
rightfully
amount,
so.
but Jealousum. It seems
What do you
like,
make
know,
of this
he's on a
Saw comp?
team where I feel like thus far he hasn't been able to have as much of the limelight.
Solo
When the
Astra,
pressure's
I
off,
don't mind
it
it,
looks like he's
honestly.
trying to take it
I
away
haven't
4-0.
really seen great
A
things with the
great
breach on this
start for
map,
the
to be
Sentinel.
honest.
Not a
But
bad
I
round
think it
whatsoever,
can
though,
work
for
well just
Saw.
because of how
And
big the
as we
map is
mentioned,
and setting someone
Although
up.
expectations here, you got
Well,
a team
I
that
think
are
if you
3-0.
go breach, you kind of get rid of
I think
Cypher.
for an
I think
incredibly young
that's my.
squad, they've been able
Because you've
to
been so proactive.
beat out
Yeah, I
teams
feel like
like
you just
Mouse,
force
who were
yourself
the
into
winner of
productivity.
GAC, Joblife, the winner of France.
I think
Of
I
course, the
can get
MENA
on board with that. I'm
representative
not the
of
biggest
Ultimates. All teams
Cypher
that have
believer on this
beaten
map.
their opposition.
Killjoy is
Saw
really
have made
strong,
it
I
close
think.
in a lot of
Like
games.
she is
So, again,
criminally
I'm
underrated.
sure
I
that
feel
there's
like.
no team that
I
want to
think
go in
it's
winless.
I think it's
And
one of
for
those maps where a
Saw,
lot of stuff
an
works.
opportunity to protect where they're
I do
going
have a
to
good question
anymore.
for you though.
This will be an after
Yeah, sure,
plant, a
shoot.
2 versus 4
Cloud
scenario that
IGL,
has
how was
somehow
it at the end?
become a post plant
The thing is,
for
bro,
this defensive side. It's actually
that
gonna
season
take
was just so
the,
cursed
the
for
attack.
me.
The defense is going to take a while to get there as well. They're still clearing
Both
mid.
like.
They're still checking all of these angles.
I
They may
guess
have
to
even
some
both
degree,
been
like
spotted by the
personally,
cam.
but also
And they're
just
gonna
like
get the reveal. Bear in mind how
performance-wise,
low
it was
Rock is. He
just
wants
such
to
a
take the
like
fights
weird
aggressively. Turn it into a
season
1v1.
where
The
I
value
think
is
maybe I set
definitely
some
there.
unrealistic
And in the
expectations
meantime,
for myself
Jealousum
at the
is
start of
playing
the year,
ring
and then
around a
from there
Rosè.
onwards,
He
it's just
wants
gonna
to
get very
let
tricky,
his
you know.
opponent clear all these back angles, clear
But
all these positions
considering
while the plant
everything,
is down.
I mean, I think
Waste his time,
Cloud
and
is.
instead now look to
I
be
think
in
he
the
understands
exact
the
spot
game very
that
well. I
he's
think
already checked.
Danny's
The only thing will be the
Pipson's
time.
done like
He's
a
heard him tapping.
great
He's
job
gonna
at
have to step, but I don't know if
shaping
his
him
opponent will
into
have
an
heard him from
IGL,
here. The
or
time
is
gonna
able
go
to
down
do
the
that.
wire. But eventually, I think that he gets the kill.
My
but
main
the clock is
concern
already
would be
gone.
just
Jealousy
the
just baiting out that clock.
the like
has done enough,
leadership
and it will
skills, you know,
eliminate
because that's
everybody
something you
else.
can't
A
really teach
huge
someone
round of
myself
victory
from
for
addicted. He
Pacific
doesn't have
and for
time, right?
Saw.
No.
But I think you can also be an
follow up with
IGL
that
and
third
not have
round
the leader
despite it
roles,
being
if that makes
so
sense. If
close,
someone else
just
has
one
the
bullet
roles.
away.
The
Couple
thing is,
seconds
though,
in either
so
direction. We have a
I
completely
mean,
different result, but
yeah, now
the
I need to
crumbles
be
this
like
time. Saw
careful with
left
what
to
I
an
say,
eco,
obviously.
sure.
But
weapons, couple forced up here or there.
obviously,
Marshall,
just looking at
Guardian,
like
you know, there's definitely
the
some
past,
potential. The defensive
Rhyme
side
was
to
not like
fight back.
the greatest
But Pacific hold
like
a huge advantage.
game
Saw grouped
mind,
up
you know,
on A,
mind in the
looking
game.
to make
Sure,
a
but
big
he's a
play,
leader.
flash those
He was a
sends
true.
Pacific
This
running.
guy,
That
I don't know
looks
if you
like
have you
they'll
met
be
him.
safe
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
I
first
spoke to him
side
a good
back
amount.
pick. Should confirm
So
the plan.
you know that he just has like a specific way of going about things, you know.
Yeah,
that is,
yeah.
and that's something you can't teach
A
someone
lot of
that, you know.
expectations in this round,
And
especially now.
Obviously, like I think that there's a
Despite
case to be
making
made
his
for
way
having
over,
like an IGL
This
versus
will
like a
confirm
captain and
couple of
whatnot, and
ultimates for the
I
next
think
round
that
as well
you
for
should
the
just
attack
have,
with
in an
Rock
ideal world, you
claiming
have
an
someone
orb from the
who's
plant.
your main caller, your mid-round
Loiter.
caller could maybe be a different person, but your main caller should
Loitering
also be
around
the
middle.
emotional leader of the team. That's just the way that it makes the most sense
Doesn't
for me.
overextend.
Yeah, I can see
Doesn't
that.
want to give too much away.
And Cloud
especially
can
with
definitely do
potential
both
for
of those
comeback to
things.
also
I just
have
hope
the
that
Bladestorm online. As
he
said,
has
he is probably the player I've seen most
a little bit
use
less
this
of like a
weapon to
hectic
abuse the
year, because
opponent's
last year was
economy.
just
I don't think I've seen as
everything
many
kind
players,
of.
even
You
in
guys
tier
had a lot
1,
going on, man.
pick this gun up,
I mean,
knowing, okay,
yeah, but
very
also
good
just
chance
the
of, like,
sheer of
shields.
like
I'll invest
like
into this
the.
and just make my
I
life a
think
whole
this
lot
is like
easier.
publicly
It's
known,
very
but
intelligent
I was
play
literally
from
on hold. Like
team
that's where it started,
well,
right? Like
as said,
the
like, they're a
layup
Premier
was
team. They have the
Ryan
least experience of
leaving
anybody
to go
here.
back to school because
Yeah.
people were still like, I think to this day people are still not sure what happened there. But this guy just
That's
said,
it,
"No,
I mean-
I'm gonna get my degree," you know.
In the
Yeah,
lab,
And
I
I mean,
suppose.
I
and
respect
that
it.
made
In the
everything.
hours,
Yeah, I
that's
mean, I
what you
respect
get
it
for
too.
Smart cerebral play.
But yeah,
I've been really
it made
impressed
it,
by the level. I think of
it
so
made
many
it
of the
very
teams here
weird for us, you know.
in Ascension.
Oh, for sure.
And I
Yeah,
feel
it put you guys in a rough
teams like
spot.
Saw, I came in with expectations.
Well,
of
yeah,
things can
a
only get
decent
better,
run.
I think they say.
And we really had signs. Bullets
Who's the IGL
close
for
to
this team?
target, but not quite
It
on.
is
And,
Rose.
well,
Okay.
you see the damage
He's been
that can do.
he's
Like
been
I said,
around,
so many
right?
of
I
those
think he
fights
was in
Yeah.
Firefly Young and
incredibly
Yeah,
stuff.
he
Like
went
that. He
in
was
Chaos,
Woods teaming
Rose
and
was
stuff,
using
right?
the Hunter's
Yep.
Fury, just picking
cool.
them off.
They're just all
Devastating
absolute
round
talents.
because you win that
Yeah,
one
that-
from Saw in the
That
previous,
talent
and you're
factory.
starting to think,
How,
okay,
over there
how
back
did
in
that
it.
team
This-
not win
this is our
stuff?
comeback
That's so
arc,
crazy.
but
Isn't it? It was Poor's
they're
team that
still
beat
in the
them,
training phase, and
which is
they've
still
got quite a bit of ground to
incredibly
catch
impressive
up
from
on.
him.
Nice shot by
That
BRK.
old
That's
Fireflux
the
team?
opening we're
Yeah.
looking for.
I mean,
They should have won stuff last year.
but I
Bit
don't
of a
think
risky
was
peek
Rose
taken
in that
from
team as
Rose,
well.
but they're gonna go
I think
pressuring
he was
the
in the
other
one
side. Cunha in
before that,
aggressive
right?
Position. Loited is so aware.
Let me check.
Really
Dude,
disjointed,
this
and those
that team
kills just
was
look
Social
so
B,
easy
Wood,
for
Yetuye,
Loiter.
Jailers, and
BRK's done
some
well on the other
a
side
guy
of the
whose
map.
name
A
I will
solo
not be able to
defender
pronounce
of
that has
B,
a
but
7
I feel
in
like
it.
the
Yeah, this is what I mean, man.
on the A
Look at how
side
stacked
Yeah.
that roster
have
is.
undone
How does it
all
not
the good
completely
work that he
dominate
did.
everyone?
Plus plant and
What's your
well,
what do you think
all
the strongest
information
league
of
is?
exactly where
Like top
they
3
are
overall and
is
top
gonna be
3 like
handed over.
top heavy.
Turkey.
Just making it that much more
Turkey's number
difficult.
1, no doubt.
BRK doesn't know there's an
I
enemy
think
right behind him.
I think
and,
that
well,
is
they
it Dak.
found out
I think that
now
one's pretty
Yeah.
that
stacked.
could have been the ace.
That's pretty
Yeah,
solid
Jealous
runner-up, I
on the
think.
side, took it away,
And
but
then
that's fine.
third, I'm not
At the
too
end
sure,
of the day,
man.
all that matters is the
The
rounds. And for
thing with that,
Pacific,
obviously
they
CGN
are
is looking
coming
good
in
now, right?
in numbers,
But they always
6
feel like
to
a
1,
super
and the defensive side
mid-heavy
again.
team
In a pretty
that doesn't
rough
have like
spot
exceptional
economically, we're
like
expecting to see a couple of rifles and the
candidates
rest of the
for
squad
titles.
with pistols.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I
maybe
can
just
see that.
slightly better.
Yeah,
What
that's
about
gonna
you?
be-
What do you
again, it-
think? Similar?
I feel like
Yeah, I
BRK
mean-
did well, and then
I think Turkey's just
the push through.
the
like,
obvious number one,
Fragger's
and I had
flash
Dak
was so
to
far
probably
behind
then
Addicted
Spain
that it
3,
just-
but
there was no way it
it's
was
one
ever
of
gonna
those
catch
things as
anyone.
well where I feel I mean
It
I'm
made
not gonna
things
lie,
so
Barcelona
easy
should
for
not be in
Loiter.
this
Don't get me wrong,
tournament. Like
Loiter
they
still
have
has to
no
hit the
right,
shots, but
like
if
they
you're
have nothing to
gambling
do
on
here.
these Turkish players
I
not
think
connecting
UCAM
shots,
and
are
KPI are
in the
both
wrong
like
game,
way
I'll be
better
honest with you.
candidates for
They
it.
haven't been
Yeah.
missing. They
I
haven't
mean,
been whiffing. They've been fantastic.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
But if you give them
It feels a
easy
bit like a
fights,
Fireflux
wow,
situation, but I mean, if you can't
making
beat
their
them,
day.
then
Yeah, of course.
Money in the bin.
It's about peaking at the right time, right? But I just think that
A sniper
I-
of sorts.
I could
for
be
BRK,
wrong, but I
definitely
feel
not
like
the one he'd
most
desire.
of the leagues had that system. Like I
And
know
not-
in Spain, only the
That's about how I
finals
thought
mattered.
that would
You
go.
know, like
Yeah.
everything else was
Yeah.
for like you
It's on
win
script.
or you go to Ascension
A
by
chance,
winning the
though,
last final of the year,
Towards
which
this
in my
B-side,
opinion doesn't
Pacific.
really sit right. So if you have like a
Freaking-
super
well,
good split
never
one,
mind.
yeah,
like if you
yeah.
get first split one and second split two, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
To me, that's weird. Like that's exactly what happened with KPI, right?
And it's a big issue in this game.
Nothing that can go
Yeah.
wrong for this squad, and it's
Oh boy, do I know.
starting to just
I
get
mean,
a
yeah.
little tough to
Yeah,
watch.
you
Some
gotta-
of these
you gotta peak at the right
opportunities.
They
time.
saw.
I feel like if I'm
It's a little bit
'cause
depressing
academies
I
are
feel
allowed
like
next
these are
year,
players
right?
in the right place.
Yeah, I
and then
saw
they're
that
just getting
like
out
teams
aimed.
are
Like,
officially
there's
allowed to
nothing in
have
this round other
3
than,
or
like,
I think it's
just being
3
a
different
raw
structures
individual
competing.
1v1
It's something
and just not
crazy.
connecting.
They
And
can
I-
have
I
like a
think,
game
yeah,
changers
definitely a
team.
good time for a
Okay.
pause,
They
'cause
can have
no
a
matter
main like
what the
a VCT
expectations
team.
were on
Yeah.
this team,
They can have a academy team.
Yeah.
this is
And
not
they
the
can
level
have
that
a
they want to be
affiliate team.
coming in with on this map. Like that's a couple of
As
rounds
in
now where
one that they're
the
partnered
round
with for,
before
like,
this
the-
Yeah,
was
yeah.
just
So
a
like
mistake
us,
on
like
timing,
Giants with
trying
UCAM,
too
for
hard
example,
to
last
get
year.
yourself back into
Yeah.
the game, and I think you've overplayed a hand.
Damn, I mean, that's a
In
lot.
this one, it just
Yeah,
felt like
which is, I mean,
everybody
I get it,
like
but
every
it
single
also,
player
I, mean,
just had
I
a
don't know,
moment
dude.
of,
Like I
okay,
feel like tier 2
I'm
investments
ready.
are.
I'm watching for a guy.
I mean,
and he's walked
everyone
around the
is,
corner,
like,
and I'm just not hitting my shots.
We're
And
already
it
in that
happens,
cycle where
but
people are just starting to understand that
with the scenario
it's
they're
just a
already
void
in,
of like chucking money
you
in
need-
the
you
in
need
it,
to
right?
make sure that doesn't go
I
any
was
further,
gonna say
'cause,
that
again,
Riot
this is not
have
a map where
to
the
support,
expectations
like you
were
have to
particularly
get
high. It's a
incentive,
very
like there
good
has to be
map,
incentives for
100%
doing it.
win rate
I
in
think.
4 from Pacific.
Like I think they have to
0%
give
win rate, but
incentives. Be
very
like
close
if
game
you
versus
field
Mouse
3 teams,
for
we'll
Saw.
give you something.
But this is
Like,
again,
we'll give you X
they're
amount of
just
money.
getting boomed right now.
Yeah, I forgot that you can't have
I
both
do
an
definitely
academy team
empathize
and
with
an
the
affiliate
coaching
team because
staff
they're
in
essentially the
this
same
moment,
thing.
and even with
Yeah,
the players
you would
during that
obviously
pause,
partner with
because
your
it's
academy
a very
team.
difficult thing to
I mean, I
recover
think
from.
that
Like you're saying,
realistically, it doesn't really make
are there
sense
things they could
to
do
have
better?
an
I'm
academy
sure.
team.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
but
have,
you gotta
and
pick
definitely.
those
you
out
know,
amongst a
Be like,
sea
we
of
actually have no
reasons
trust
that
in
are
our new
just, well, we
academy
missed
team.
those shots, and this guy
it's not
hit
even
his
that, but
shots,
imagine
and,
that you're getting like,
well, we
I don't know,
didn't realize one had walked right up
let's
on
say
us. Okay, there's a
league minimum
fixable
is
issue.
4K. right?
Map
I think
control, about the
I think
gaps that
some
you
players
have,
in
but
tier 2 are
a lot of the
expected
other stuff's just
salaries
gonna be
like
flying by,
close-ish
like,
to
yeah,
that,
they were just
right?
better.
Maybe between like
I
2.5
think it's
and
hard
4.
to keep the mood up in
If
moments
you
like that.
have to field
And
an academy
number of
team that
challenges
you
for Saw,
entirely have to fund by
a lot
yourself,
more important than that,
I
though.
could see orgs just
Defending this
rather
A
investing
site,
half of that, or like, you know,
traps,
paying
how we're
salary,
waiting Pacific,
whatever,
Yeah.
how,
not
No,
however they
I-
do it,
I-
rather
I
just pay for a
agree
little bit
totally,
of it.
from breach, the stun could get
I
addicted
agree.
to kill here.
How many teams do you think go for the academy team?
Under pressure.
Academy, like a pure
Moving
academy
as a
team or an
unit,
affiliate team?
flash through and
Pure
the rock.
academy.
He's been the can opener so far.
I don't
He might
know,
not be on
probably
a
like 2 or
duelist, but
3
he's definitely
max.
working as a second one.
Because like I said,
Just
initially
EMEA or
like,
whole
going the way of the defense, but
oh,
again,
I mean, maybe
quickly
like
dwindles.
per league.
6
Player up
in
from heaven.
the entire world. I could see
Who needs to
China.
try
I
and
think
turn it back.
Chinese
Wait,
teams
Being
will
one
do it.
three in the
Rose, not
entire.
missing a
Say that
beat.
again, sorry.
And for BRK,
Yeah, I think
you can
no, I think
understand
like maybe
wanting to
6
hold
in
on
the
to that
entire world.
operator.
Really?
It's been,
If I had to guess,
at least in one of the
but
rounds, he was
again,
able
I'm
to
not
open up over on
versed
that
with the
B side,
business
but
side of esports,
even
but
with
where I would
the
say, like,
majority
imagine
of the
that
forces ready
it also depends
on
on
A,
the salaries,
they just
right?
weren't able to hold.
Like, let's
8
Yeah.
say
to 1. You're seeing the
I don't
true
know exact numbers, but you
So,
also want
well,
your
the
academy team
dominance,
to
that this
be
specific side
a
of show. You give
prospect
them
team,
anything, you
right?
give them
I
opportunities.
imagine,
They
I'm not
will
sure.
take it out of your hands. And
Yeah.
If all you care
But
about
I
is
feel like
being
they're
in
very
Challengers League,
unforgiving.
then
Like,
probably
they're a
more. But if
team
you
that
want to build a competitive team
if
that
they
costs
start
money, which you
rolling,
could rather
they're not
invest
stopping.
into, you
They're
know,
just
getting
not.
I
better
don't
players.
think
Basically take things
because you
back from them.
can't take them into
And the
Ascension.
way-
I don't
even
think
look at the way
anyone
they
will
played this
do
round.
that
They lost the
route
opening kill.
unless they
Their
can
response,
seem
let's
a
spam
world
through
where
to
like
try
you
and
sell the
find trips
roster.
and then pop flash out the
So
smoke
that would be
and
the only
fight them.
reason to do that, right? Because if, in theory, getting into Ascension,
Well, this
I'm
is
not
it,
saying
you
it's
see
not
Pacific
hard,
in
but
those
if
moments
you're spending a
move
lot
as
of
such a
money,
unit.
that's like the expectation.
Are able to
I
sure,
guess
have
that's
those
fair. I didn't even
disadvantages at
think
the
about it
start.
that like. But then,
Individuals step
how
it
about
up,
you just
constant
do
trades,
4
like the
like
second Loida goes down up
you
top,
get
Rose is
one
filling the space.
experienced
Rose
IGL,
takes that fight,
3
and you
like
could already
cheap
see
but
the
good
Rock
players, and you
stepping
get 1
back
player that
to
you can
get
actually
involved.
like develop yourself. You know,
And
like
this has been a
Sayonara.
problem that Saw
Yeah,
just
yeah.
can't
Something like
deal
that.
with.
Dude.
I think that's how
In
you
the
do
moments
it.
where they're getting one, which
Orcs foaming at the mouth
You know,
at the
it's
thought
less
of that right
frequent.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
Trades are
I think
coming
that is
through,
the way
and
to do it. A
Pacific
couple of prospects and then just other people.
recovering on
Kind of
every
to teach them as
deficit.
well.
Saw one.
I can see
Sure,
why
this
you're
isn't a
like
map pick. Like, we
hyped
can
on
look
this
forward to
specific
Ascend,
team.
but
Like they even
It's
that last
Ascend.
round,
Pacific aren't bad.
they
There's
just
Turkish
they
map as well.
somehow like just
Pressure on
bring
now
it
for
back.
Saw
They
to deliver.
throw super hard,
So-
and
They it's like
Yeah,
Paper
that's-
X. They W key and then they're
that's
like,
how
hold
this
up,
game's been
we're
going
about
for
to
the
lose the
most
rounds. Everyone actually play it properly.
check in,
Will
guys.
at least
Check
bring
in.
one
Come
back,
on.
but,
Yeah, it's
and I can't
they're my
imagine
heavy
them breaking
favorites
this
for this at the
post-spawn
moment.
apart.
I
The problem
think
is
I think you
a
can.
save at this stage
I
won't
think
even help
they're
them out that much. They have the cash to buy into
I
the
think you
next
can
round.
anti
The
them.
operator-
BRK has
If
a
you don't
chance.
mind me
There's a player
asking,
coming around
Close.
that corner
Like,
any
have
moment
you
now.
have
Baited
you
the shot,
considered
though.
like coming back
Yeah,
to
that's the thing
being with
now,
the team, or
Laurent
would you
will
only
be
do
able
it
to
for
take
like
the fight. In fact, no, Rose
a
has
team
won it first.
that can win
like
essentially?
it was
Why
gonna be a
like were
bit
you
more awkward,
like
but
Goldilocks conditions esque?
Not the case.
I got,
Another post-spawn. And BRK's gone down
I need to be
through the
careful here.
smoke. It's going from bad to
I
worse.
got a pretty
The
good. I got a
pre-fires in,
couple of
Loiter
pretty good
getting more and
offers,
more confident by
and
the
that
second.
and that
Pop
was like a
flash
big.
dodged. And even now, just flying into the open,
a big
has
test of,
another smoke,
like,
but I don't think Loiter will even
Me
bother
having
using
to
it.
think of what I
They feel
fully
so
wanted for next year.
confident in their ability to fight against this team.
And yeah,
They're
I just
more
I think I
blinded.
just am a lot
Goes
happier
racing
with
back in,
streaming, and at the
10-1.
moment I'm not.
Any hope
It keeps growing
has
as well,
left
so
the
it's
server
like
long
it
ago.
just
Any
doesn't make sense for me
chance
to go back yet.
seems to have gone with it.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
Yeah, I had something that was
specific
pretty
squad.
good, like offer team wise.
They've not missed a
but
beat.
this is-
It's easy to be negative. It's easy
I feel
to
like I
look
can
at the
always
side
go
of
back.
Saw and say that,
That's the
okay,
thing.
things
I feel like
definitely
if the time is
aren't
right and I'm just like
competitive, they're
fully
not
done with
there.
streaming, then I can just
But on
always
the
go
other
back.
side of
I don't think
things,
that the
every
age is much of
single
a thing.
member,
I
you're
just
talking
have to have
about
good work
3
ethic,
kill
and
difference from the top
I
player
should
to
be
the
alright.
bottom.
Like as long as I
Barely
watch
any
enough
deaths on
Valorant,
their
I
side
think I
either.
can.
It's just
I won't
been
like, in my opinion, fall off or
clinical.
miss too much.
No. I
Very
feel like
much
you're
so,
you're
a masterclass
arguably
from the
forced to
side of
keep up
Pacific.
more with stuff than
Double
most
digits
coaches
already
Yeah.
found
are
on
able to as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I actually get the luxury of looking at other stuff. So yeah, I'm sticking with streaming basically for at least next year. I just do it year by year basis, really.
Yeah,
A lot of
that
damage
sounds good,
being
man.
done there, and even more now.
I'm glad you
Rose
like. I think a lot of
wanna
people
pick
look
up
at you
that
and
frag
they
for the Pacific
see
side,
what
but
you've
it's
been
the
able
only
to
one
do,
that
and
they've got.
low key we're
That
all like a
said,
little
it
bit
has
jealous, you
opened
know,
up the
because
B side. They
you
can
have
get
it
a
just
plant
figured
out
out
of
right
this.
now.
SR
Less of the stress,
mainly
less of
focused
the,
around mid,
you know,
and
all
it's
of those
not like
things.
SRK wants to
This is
give
the thing,
away
man.
another
Like
individual
when I
fight.
had the team, I was like, okay, I got offers, and it's like, okay, I gotta look at this. I gotta
Cosmic Divide.
do a little pros cons,
So much
work out
utility.
what I should be doing. And so you just look at the pros
An
list and they're
attempted
just
counter
crazy
failed.
stacked, and you're
BRK
like, oh
will
man.
get one. Teaming up to make sure there's
Who do you
no
think
one
is the
splitting in
most
from
like
behind, but they
expensive
do have to
player
be a
in
little bit
Valorant right now?
careful.
Expensive
That lurk will
for
be coming
just
through
all tier 1?
GTRW, GRTW even.
Someone in America's.
It's a lot of letters, and I can't read.
Probably
but
Aspas, right?
whatever it is,
Yeah,
he's picked
I'd
up
imagine
a
so.
kill. That's all he's gonna get. Did
10s because of his
3
following.
kills under his belt.
That's
and a
actually
very
true.
Yeah, that
swift
is probably true.
conclusion to that retake. Oh, the much
I forgot about
feared
10s.
buy round.
Also, not just
doesn't
because
get
his
mount
following
to
10s
all
was
that much.
insane this year.
That's the thing, yeah. It's like following, and he actually is
No,
looking
I
like
think
one of the
more
best
direct
controllers.
take definitely worked out for them.
Statistically,
The
that guy
lurk
was
something that
crazy.
I don't think the defense were particularly ready
It's impressive
for,
that he got better.
especially with GRT
Like,
having a bit of a
honestly,
rough time
if
so
I'm fully
far.
honest,
Maybe a slight
if I
confidence
looked at
builder for him.
everything from like
Let's go for the
2021,
defensive side
I would have
back
said that
on
was his
very
peak.
little once more, so
But for him to actually like
chance
come
to
back
close
and
that gap a little bit
look
further.
better, that's
For the
insane.
side of Pacific, they've got to make sure they don't get overconfident because sure,
The
they're
thing
very
is,
far in the
it's
lead,
so hard
and even
to
though this map defensively has been great for them in the past,
like peak after you have
they
been
know
on that level, right?
competitions
To
like this
achieve a new
normally
peak.
thrive.
Yeah.
It did really start.
Would you head coach if you got the opportunity?
Pacific are noting this.
I
slip away from them.
I applied for head
They're gonna
coaching
take
jobs.
themselves
Oh,
I
a
spoke
okay.
to
This is where
I
they're
spoke
coming with the
this
buy.
I can
This
say
is
I
where they
spoke
get
to
the operator in
spoke
hand
to
for
Liquid, spoke
comeback,
to Koi.
someone who is
Damn.
fearsome
Okay.
I
with this
made
weapon.
some progress, but it's the lack
Maybe
of
this will be
like
the
head
turning
coaching
point, but
experience
if
that
it's not, then
eventually
potentially we could be seeing some
you
sort
know,
of comeback
that
from Saw, which
caused
would be
that
a
to
very
stop,
big
basically.
surprise.
Yeah. Nice.
It would indeed.
I mean,
And not
it
just
it makes
because,
sense, right? Like I think that
Yeah,
it's
you
very
want to
often
keep
in
progressing.
Valorant that you're going to see those side swaps
yeah, I mean,
benefit a
I really
team
enjoy
and
my role.
often
I
quite
think
heavily. There'll be a completely new identity. You could be
just
getting
this year
destroyed,
was
and then all of a sudden
is
you're right back
unique,
in the game. You're closing
in many
in the
in
scoreline.
it was
We've
a
seen it a
very
million times.
it
So
was
it's not
honestly
like
the
it's
lowest like
shocking in that sense.
least
What is
enjoyable year of
surprising
my
is the
career
fact that
so far, and my
they weren't
career
just
hasn't been
losing
particularly long,
rounds
so
because, they're in
that
the
doesn't
wrong
say awful lot.
position,
But
and they left a gap open and a huge
You,
flank happened. So you
living
expect
in
when the
Berlin,
sides
right?
swap, the
You
fact
lived
that
with,
they'll
with
Yeah.
the team.
the
Yeah.
pace will change and so on benefits
second
them.
split, first split I was
Zaw were just
remote.
Oh, okay.
bad.
Which do you prefer?
They were losing every fight. Their
Um,
chances were like 20 bullets.
Under the
are
right
fired at someone,
circumstances, probably
and the
like
guy's
I mean,
still alive at the end
living
of the
by
round.
myself and just going to the office. I just like
The
being
amount
around
of
people,
butterfly effect
Mm.
whiffs they had
But it needs to
were
be
huge,
the
and I think
correct environment.
to turn that
Yeah,
around,
I think
at
that's fair.
least that inspires me. Like I said, I wanted to
Ooh,
see
I
them
I
build
think
a round
Giants
for a
overall
reason.
did a very good job at like
Okay, now
setting
you're
us up
warmed up. Now
properly,
you're
though.
back in the
Like
game. If
I
we were to
really
start
props
this
to them,
map
you know,
again,
for everything that
maybe
they've
there
done.
would have been lights
That's
that
from
cool.
regard.
the get-go.
That's nice to hear.
Comeback, stealing their lives away.
I've
The
heard it's
operator
like
has dropped the spike up top,
it's like
and that's a big
it
problem.
can be great or it can not be great. I've had
And something
different
they'll have
stories
to go
from different
back
people in
for,
different
or just
orgs.
look to try and continue the round
I
fighting
mean, yeah,
forward.
some
It's
like
definitely left them
I can
a little
only
bit
really
more
speak about
isolated, but
GX, but
BRK again
they, you know,
doing well.
they
They've got to be
really
careful,
dove
though. The
head
amount
in
of time that's been
first time
bought
around.
has
They just
allowed
got an
Loiter
office
to
at
get
like
back
a
in
very
and
nice
behind
place.
them at
They
that.
got everybody like first
Potentially a
year
free
we
kill
lived
to BRK. Now the
we lived
Blaze
like
comes
30
out, and
minutes.
it is
Jesus
so
Christ,
quick
this guy's
for
insane.
Bro, I love the timing of this as well. He waited for the Omen first, and then as soon as they're like dealing with the Omen, he dashes on them as well, so they have to deal with both at the same time. That was sick.
I have an interesting. I wanna finish this point, and then I want to talk with you about like your opinion on same language teams versus mixed teams. But like GX last year, we lived in like an apartment complex, kinda like studios, but close together. But every day we had to take like a 20-minute car ride to the office together, and it was honestly the best, dude. Imagine that you were forced to like go 20 minutes blasting music, and it was very nice. And then this year they got everybody like individual apartments as well, just not like closer to the actual office, which was also great.
Yeah.
Even in this game here.
But I think a lot of teams they
just
just haven't been able to commit as hard as GX has been able to, you know.
Yeah. I think it's nice that they kind of
That was
heavy
almost
committed.
two.
Because in
That
theory,
was
it's
very
a
nearly
long-term
two.
plan.
Yeah, for sure.
Good luck.
So you're saying same, like as in everyone speaks the same language in a team?
Yeah, like native tongue teams.
I think for IGLs it's very important.
It's just that I remember reading something about it that obviously Valorant was still fairly new, but I believe that in CS, up until recently, no team had ever won a major that spoke in their non-native tongue, you know?
Yeah.
Because obviously right now you have what, Navi, Vitality,
a gargantuan task.
What else?
for
G2.
this squad. But
They have, but none of them had like won a
we saw them
major
get four.
up until I think it
There's
was
a pistol,
which
an
team
easy
was it that won the
follow-up,
first
but
one? I think it might have been
still the
Vitality.
potential was there.
Okay.
I'm not
As
sure.
I said, the main
But-
thing
Yeah,
being
something
that
like that.
this squad can already count that they've lost
I
the
think
match.
it's not even that. I
Most
think it's
likely
also
people are
just
saying
cultural.
phase, yeah.
you're in.
Oh,
Phase
phase.
when
Sorry,
they-
yeah,
when
it
they
was
had
phase.
the
It was
crazy
phase. No, you're right.
Confidence builder,
Yeah.
getting back in the swing of things,
The way
and
to do
just
it, yeah.
starting to understand we can do this.
But
Take it
before that,
across
like
the line, that could
no,
be worth
you
its
know,
weight in gold,
international
so
team had
Yeah,
ever
yeah, it was all
done
just
as well.
yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people it's like comfort. I think you gotta get the right blend of people that it doesn't affect too much, like fully fluent. Like when you got someone that doesn't feel like fully comfortable, I think it does. It does like
seems like if
mess up a
anything,
team
Pacific
slightly.
kind of want to force them into
Especially
the
if an
setup.
IGL, like an IGL
Skeleton.
speaking their like native tongue and then going to a different
Rock,
team and trying to
and then he
IGL
pushed him
it,
into
that
the
is completely
angle.
different.
Well, it's messy
Yeah, for sure.
originally, but of course it doesn't last long.
In these
I also
rounds
think
towards
the
end,
like
we're
cultural
starting
aspect of
managing
things
to have a little
is
bit of impact. We saw their thumbprint
arguably
on the
equally
round as they
important, you know.
carved
Yeah,
out a
but
bit
I
of
think some
control for
people
themselves. Maybe
like the mix
they've
up
done enough
and
to
like
bounce back
learning about
on
the
their
other
pick.
cultures
We'll
and
see.
stuff.
If that's the case, after
Yeah.
the break.
What's the weakest agent in Valorant?
The weakest agent?
That's not true
Yep.
for legal reasons.
We get a sunshine
Chamber.
of this?
I think.
Chamber?
It depends, dude. Like, cause the thing is that all of these agents, they just like even Chamber, he just has something, you know. It's like if I asked like, how do we define weak, you know, in like ranked or in like pro play by itself, isolated in a team environment.
Okay,
I need details, you know. I need details.
Yeah, can't just be a blanket question. Yeah, because I agree. Because it's like Chamber, probably
I'm
arguably there, but if you get a little yay on the go, and maybe it's different.
I mean, we've seen that Chamber still works, you know. You just need to actually be good at the game, which is a problem. This is why I'm not good on Chamber. It's very personal, you know.
Yeah, a realist though. I like that.
What's your background, Sliggy? Like, what did you do? Like, you've been doing esports for like what, 4 decades?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 20 years, I'd say now. So player, I've done. What have I done? I've done player, coach, analyst, observer, content,
a team that's done remarkably well for themselves here in Ascension. So
and then
I wouldn't count them out by any means.
I guess event management and stuff like that as well. So a bit of everything.
Okay.
So yeah, a bit of everything, but mainly observer. That was like my most successful stuff.
Yeah. And then do you have like a regular background, or did you?
No, I just started. I started doing events pretty much like straight out of college.
Okay.
So I used to work with Henry G and the manager of Liquid, caused Omen. We used to just do like just like Gamescom. We had like we were in charge of like the IP of like Call of Duty and stuff like that. So we used to just have events for people of press to try out like the new Call of Duty and like write reports on it and stuff.
That's the goal. It may surprise you,
and
but
then
for
I did a
most teams,
Gfinity.
that
They didn't
will
have
be
an
the goal.
observer,
Win the
and
series.
I did the
We'll see who
observing for
ends
that
up
event, and
achieving
then
their goals here today
spent
from
2 years
Barca.
trying to get good at it,
This is pride
and
on
then
the
eventually
line,
got hired.
and perhaps a trip
That's
to
nice.
Mykonos.
Yeah, not too
Don't know
bad.
which
What about
one
you?
those days
What's your background?
I was still studying. I graduated the 3 days before we flew to Sao Paulo last year.
Damn. Okay, so literally straight out.
Yeah,
That's
no,
impressive, though.
I mean, I always combined the both of them, you know.
Yeah. That's how you gotta do it. It's all about the balance.
If you had to like make a roster out of the Ascension players, what would your roster be?
No one else is picking my players. Like I have full reign.
Yeah.
And
I'll give you the added benefit of being able to pick players for one very specific reason.
I get Zeus, Kayak, Profec, and then I would have to think about the other two.
Yeah, of all
they would be the 3 that I would do.
This really is the perfect one. Flying colors.
Because I would try and change one of those duelists to be a Flex.
Lots of weak weapons.
Because I think that's either a Flex or a Sentinel. I would have to like do an experiment there and see. And then, yeah, then I would have to judge everything else. Why? What about you?
They seem to something is up towards the B site, and with
I would pick Sayonara.
Whoa, this guy's not old enough.
I've said play in. Oh, but he can play in. Oh, you're talking about like going to VCT.
Yeah. I'm talking about.
Okay. In that case, I mean probably Kayak.
Kayak's asking questions as to why he didn't ace it.
Who do I like as an IGL?
It's not going to be a huge loss. And for Kayak, he's already gone away from his ultimate. So there's that.
Benny.
They might have the overdrive.
No. I don't want to have a Phoenix one trick on my team. No, I don't want to be a Phoenix one trick on my team. No.
You get Benny.
Not allowed. Molzy's IGLing for Apeks, right?
Yes.
You worked with Dom. Is he like able to mid round well?
Yes, very well.
I might pick him then.
Solid. I was thinking of having Soul Gas. Thoughts on TMB saying that Omen needs a nerf? If I agree, what nerfs could I go for? So I was talking about this the other day with Boo. I would nerf Omen, and I think there's 2 ways of doing it. You either take away a TP, which could be too much, but I think that would be okay, or you just make the smokes a short time by like 1.5 seconds, something like that.
Do you feel like Omen is just too strong?
Yeah, it's too
That's the thing though.
What's it bad at?
Talked about with Apeks, be it this roster or the last, is how they deal with
like being able to unironically play quick, you know? Like his smokes take fairly long to land compared to Astra, Low.
That's it. That's the best you got.
In the fashion of victors, they're already being talked about as a team.
He's also less handsome.
Okay, yeah, now into the real stuff. Okay.
No, I mean, yeah, probably. There's not that much.
That's the thing. It isn't that much. It's a very strong agent, man.
Did you, maybe this is like sensitive topic, but did you see the little interaction between Lucas Rojo and Weber?
Oh man, yeah.
It tickled me. It was tickled me just right.
It was cracking me up.
I love how like he just like Lucas Rojo said like I'll see you in VCT soon, and then the response from Weber was the funniest, dude.
Weber, yeah, Weber just doubled down and owned him. Yeah, man. I tell you what, I respect people that give it when. I need to be careful.
Apeks will have wanted after getting 3-0.
Yeah, I can't say what I was gonna say. Okay, I'll just say it. I don't know how people who haven't achieved crazy amounts can like flame other teams that have. I mean, it's wild.
Well and truly avoided.
I think you're not. I don't think you're wrong.
Play it passive. They're going walkabouts on middle.
I mean, in his respect, right? Like Lucas Rojo is actually one of the few coaches who I mean, he was with G2 when they did, like he was with Neil.
So yeah, they did okay stuff on G2. But also back then, like
it's A under threat, size to concede the space and.
It's like
I'm not sure he'll get anything
people
done.
thinking like everything within the first 2 years wasn't like.
To see him stick around and that drone
yeah, that didn't count really. 2021, nothing there counts, right?
Yeah, don't take it away your champs.
There we fucking go, chat.
But I'm also taking away all of my stuff.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we still made it last year, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Very respectable last place finish at Champions.
I just think it's a different game now.
No, for sure, 100%. I think it's both like very different and still like the inherent nature of this game will always cause it to be like wildly inconsistent. I feel like, you know.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll ever have like a crazy rain the way that you have it in like CS and stuff.
That is also true.
Setting up for the retake the whole time, which was the right call.
But yeah, Giants was a fluke. I'm not Giants. Ascend. I said what is no. Everybody wants to hear it.
I think back then it was I don't know, man. It's a lot of different things. Like individuals and like
I've seen Apeks are very keen to spam right back, and that they're ready for it with how quick they did.
You got away with so much. Not like you as a team, like even in Liquid, like everyone got away. Like some of the stuff that we did back then would not even fly. Same with G2, same with Ascend, same with everything.
The most notorious thing I've ever seen you do is go smokeless on Ascend. What did you play? Phoenix?
We went double smoke. We went the double smokeless. We went smokeless on Ascent. We went smokeless on Bind because no one was common.
Yeah.
Nothing in fact.
But it was a blast Mickey Mouse tournament.
Especially when combined with a reveal.
Like we did it just to get comms up. We were gonna lose. We actually got it relatively close somehow.
Oh, so that was like a training exercise.
Yeah, dude, we couldn't comm.
No, I really like that.
No one could comm. I didn't care about this tournament.
Oh, that's actually super cool. I genuinely, that's insightful for me as fuck.
Certainly is one
that
way
you did it that way.
I
didn't take you for that kind of guy, to be honest with you.
No,
don't get me wrong, but
if I have an issue with a team, I like hard tackle it by doing dumb crap, but like it addresses it or like exposes it so that you have to fix it. I think that's like the best way to do it.
Apeks make the adjustment. They just go running down towards him. He's got
how does no smokes help with comms? Well, how are you meant to enter a site if they got perfect crossfires? You have to use util and like peeking and timing of flash, stun, breach, etc. So you actually have to have comms to enter like into a site.
Very interesting. I think we ran like no comm scrims for a while.
Well,
oh,
yeah, but it sucks. I really don't like.
I mean, yeah, of course. It's like, what was the?
It's one of those things like, ooh, it sounds interesting. And this was like in 2022 as well. 2020 might have been 2021 even. It was just to like tackle a different side of
chemistry
gameplay. But it doesn't really. So the reason why I think we started was because we had Trex back then, and this guy has like a crazy amount of game sense, and Salah had the theory that it came from him. Remember with when the sanctions first came and Russian players didn't have access to voice chat?
He's already down to just.
I don't know if that's a thing. So when like in the beginning they didn't have voice chat access, so Russian players would not be able to communicate with people.
I do remember that, yeah.
And that was kind of like the theory that Russians just had like the most insane game sense because of that.
Okay, I see. So no one had to come. I like it.
Seems like he's about to be.
Yeah, I think mad stuff like that is as long as you don't spend a lot of time and you know you expect the outcome to be bad, then I think that stuff can work well. As long as there's something to learn from it, I think it's good.
For sure.
Okay, do you know what? I thought about it and I know how I would answer the question now. You know the one about what I was saying earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, because you've been in a team, right? That is, you've been in a team, you understand everything that goes into a team.
Yeah.
Right? So you understand how hard it is to be a coach in a team. Why would you then go and call out another team that is like performing well? Like for little small things, don't you? Do you not find that mad?
You're still talking about Lucas Rojo.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the better answer that I should have said.
No, but I think, dude, I think your answer is perfectly like. I mean, if he takes offense to that like don't walk the like you can only what is it like walk if you talk the talk or whatever you say.
Yeah. That's also true. I don't care about him taking offense. Like it doesn't affect me in any way.
But I think it kind of came from the fact that he said something about Heretics' Lotus at some point, right? Is that not where the these issues
that was like the main thing. Like obviously there was loads of other stuff about it, but he also said that the Lotus was like super similar. But like they also just came second at an event, I think it was, or maybe it was after Madrid. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
and like the only time I actually like fully flamed a team this year was Zeta, because they didn't show any improvement, and I don't understand how they didn't improve and learn this year.
Yeah, I mean I think Carlau is pretty good as well. Like I haven't had many interactions with him, but he. The interactions that I've had have been good,
dominant position, but Barca
But I can also imagine that for him it's like super weird coming into a team like that, you know, very different from what he's been doing, even like culturally.
I think that's fair to say for all the Barca players.
What's my opinion on Liquid releasing 3 of their players? I mean, they underperformed this year. You gotta change something up. I think it makes a lot of sense. In my opinion, Liquid's like one of those orgs, and I don't know if it's because I'm like jaded coming from CS, but in my opinion, it's one of those orgs that like should pretty much always be like top of your region.
They're on a knife's edge at the moment. They can still fall.
It's a staple org, right?
Okay,
yeah,
but
they've just been around for so long. I think it's also just has to do with like historical success.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe it's because I mean in CS they were like always top 3 for like such a long time. Like in the world.
So many rounds earlier on where he was.
Which agent would I buff right now? You gotta be careful with buffing. Who would I actually buff right now? Not sure, man. I'm not sure I would buff anyone. I think I would only nerf at the moment. I like this approach of nerfing instead of buffing. I get scared when people buff stuff.
I feel like Chamber could use a buff.
Yeah, that scares me. What are you changing?
I didn't hate I feel like the old TP mechanic would be low-key pretty fun.
That's crazy.
You think that's crazy?
Yeah, it becomes the best agent.
Why?
Becomes the best agent.
No, not the best agent.
It becomes the best agent with that.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. Global trap range, maybe.
Okay, that's not too bad. That I'm in for. Might be taboo to discuss, but what are the salaries average per coaches? Depends on the region, man. Do coaches have minimum pay? Do you know?
Depends, and if you're on a right contract or not.
If head coach has to
head
be
coaches.
Minimum 6K.
Always, yes.
This one quite convincing.
Can't imagine people in
Special
EMEA are too much above that. So I guess average would be 6 to 10 for coaches in EMEA.
Only allowed some rounds to fall into Barca's
So minimum is 4.
Minimum is 4.
Yeah, minimum is 4.
Minimum is 4 to 10. Then I would say for coaches EMEA.
Facing into what should be a 9-7 scoreline, Tom.
I mean, that's a pretty broad range, so I think that's
the
accurate.
Thing as well is like I've always heard.
I think like virtually all of the coaches will be, most of the coaches will be in that range.
Yeah, I would say most coaches are in that range. And then you got NA, which you're probably going to get a few outliers.
That's crazy. That it's. I mean, it will be this. I think in EMEA generally, I think the trend is a little bit like lower as well with some outliers. I think in EMEA the outliers are more in like the upper range of the 10, you know?
Yeah, and that sounds fair.
One kill is found by Apeks.
Per month? Yeah, per month.
I saw someone ask in your chat like for LA, and I believe, but I could be wrong, that in LA it's actually a little bit more because obviously Riot. Yes, like I think that like the minimum salary that's defined by the Californian state is higher than the minimum
it would
that
make
is
sense,
defined
man.
by Riot.
It's crazy expensive to live there.
Yes.
I'm gonna go for this.
Dude, if they heard about some of the, dude, even when I hear some of the Americas stuff, I lose my mind a little bit.
The thing is, I'm fairly open with this stuff. But I just don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. You can't talk about your own contract stuff for sure.
I mean, not from my current contract, but maybe like old stuff. I think people would be surprised by, like, especially in the early stages of Valorant, like how much people actually made. You know?
They'd be so close to it, but not a single round on the defensive side.
Or maybe not. Maybe people are used to CS stuff. CS stuff is still crazy.
Like low?
Insanely high.
1:30 on the clock.
Oh.
Flank around.
So there's like a couple of teams that are like crazy high in Valorant that I've heard about, and I would say there's about 5-6 teams that are higher or match that in CS.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a much more established ecosystem as well, right?
They got that dodgy money as well, man.
Yeah, the skin money.
Yeah.
No, but for sure. I mean, there's a big factor, you know. Like, didn't Yassine tweeted that when he went back to streaming, like within like a couple of weeks, he immediately had like crazy offers.
Yeah, it gets crazy. Yeah.
Stuff, right. So, I think it's very nice that Vyse just keeps all that like skunk out of our ecosystem.
Yeah.
Well, this is where
Hearing how tier 2 NA players were making it in challenges, getting paid. Yeah, that was a little bit different though. That was
just claimed the lead.
That was when Valorant was the Wild West, and orgs knew that there was going to be a franchise with 10 teams from each region. So everyone was like trying to prove that they could be a franchising org. So you had like in NA, you had like what 5 teams or something. It just salary pay. It's crazy. That was it. Really was the Wild West. Would I put Vyse in any team comp right now? That's a good point. I haven't asked you about Vyse yet. I think Vyse is strong, and I think you'll see it a good amount next year. I'm not sure it can be like slot into too many teams or like comps. I guess the main one that like comes to my mind at the moment is like Ascent comp. I think you could take KO out and put Vyse in and you would be fine. I'm not saying it would be as good as the default comp, but I think you would be fine. That's kind of how I would be replacing initiators in double initiator comps.
I think you're bang on. Like she's not a... The Flash is like surprisingly good as an initiator Flash, you know?
Yeah.
And
the rest of the kit is
the only one on the angle.
Decent, you know.
Hat off the head at just the wrong
Not
moment,
a
but he gets
massive fan of
cage up. They know exactly
like I think
where
I don't even know the name of it. Like the stuff on the ground, you know,
the thorns or whatever they are.
Yeah, thorns. Those I don't think that they are too strong, and the wall is really good, but it can also be countered like quite
at long last,
easily.
They found double digits, but it's not.
But especially if you put the wall in like a good spot, assuming they're gonna nerf the fact that you can push people off of the spike, which I don't know how you tackle it from like a game design perspective. But if they figure that out, I mean, then she'll be good. Just for that gimmicky stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think the Thorns can combo well with other stuff. And I think there's a couple of good Thorns that you can do where like the spread's really good. It's I mean it's the same mechanic as a Viper Molly, so like any kind of Viper Molly that would like hit somewhere and spread to underneath, that still happens. So I think there's some good stuff that you can do because of that.
I think with Vyse, the biggest issue that I'm foreseeing, she's very good in ranked, which is unfortunate because agents that do very well in ranked are usually not that good in pro play, I feel like.
Not a lot to work with in this.
Because she's just able to. It's the same as with Deadlock, you know. If you play Deadlock and you play against like a team that are not very good, she will appear a lot stronger than I think she will be against like actual decent opposition who know how to like counter her. And with Vyse, it's going to be the same.
Huge knife early from Solkis. That information.
Yeah, you might be right. We'll see if
the weaponry they've got, they lose the
see if they feel like they need to nerf stuff.
Standing on the back of the side,
it's always interesting when the kind of rank stats come out.
It must be so like difficult coming into, because everybody knew the storyline. I'm sure the Apeks players were like arguably the most aware, but it must be so difficult to go into a tournament having like lost only once throughout the entire year,
it's looking,
and then just suddenly having to face like stronger opposition and stuff not going your way.
Either 1 and 3 or 0 and
pretty
4.
much heavy favorites. You don't experience losing much, so it's hard to like learn what you need to change up.
This is looking like one, and
I guess you have to like treat.
Could have been a victory.
I guess like you know when you do like when you replicate game days in practice, I feel like that must be like the most important thing for Apeks. When you're not getting the best,
they lost against Go Next.
Like officials, you just gotta try and look at those games. Pretty heavy. Plus the pressure of being overdogs anyway sucks, man.
9-3 down. 12-10.
When you play those lose-lose games where it's like even when you win, like everyone expects you to win anyway. Astro, Omen better on Abyss. They're both really strong on Abyss. I said at the beginning I would run double. My beginning comp as soon as I saw this map was the Apeks comp, just with Sage over Cypher.
Did you know that a lot of the time after Danito's...
I think this might be one of the only maps where I think the maybe Astra is better.
Mentioned that to me,
and that's just because it's so big. Why Sage? The Sage is like the same pressure as having like a Astra ult. Everyone plays off site. I think you can perma. In my opinion, you can perma play B retake because of the Astra wall, because of the Sage wall. And then you just pretty much play an Odin over towards A main. Is it A main? No, B main. To just make sure that they have to plant along the back line. And then you just do the long wall so they can't spam you as you defuse. And then they have to play on site. And then there's not enough places to play on site that you can just overwhelm.
I think Harbor's really strong on this map.
Yeah. I think Lev had some nice stuff. I wasn't fully convinced that it would be good on defense, but honestly they did some awesome stuff. And I think after watching Heretic stuff as well, I would copy some of the stuff that Heretics do with Cypher and Astra, just with the Harbor, especially over towards A. Like if they get out towards A site, just separate some of the site.
The comeback
What's your favorite
don't
map?
Even do the OT, just give it to him. Like the last map was mind blowing.
It's got a mouthful of chicken. Can't even answer.
I don't think I can handle seeing that again.
Sorry. Actually,
just
I don't know. I said bind earlier, but it's just because I enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
Are you talking like strategically?
Yeah, I'm talking coach-wise.
Cosmic Divide for Sulcus, getting them onto a site. But Barca not far away from a couple of ultimates as well, and they've called it time.
I don't know. I'm gonna piss a lot of people off, but I like Ascent.
Come out with something funky. Big mid push from Maniac last round, and
it's a pretty good map.
That's one
I really do wish they would just reinforce the B wall, and then I think it's like a really good map.
Good last map. He's great this map. Maniac.
The thing is, it's such a boring map. But it's such like a good map to measure how good your team actually is. I feel like, you know.
Yeah. No, I get that.
He wants to play more games in Ascension, you know.
I don't know. Historically, we're also decent on it. I don't know. I like Bind as well. Honestly, also from a coaching perspective. But it's because it's the complete opposite, you know. Like I never really figured out Bind.
Oh, bro, I felt like I was the same. I figured out like little micro stuff for it, but in terms of the macro, man. I just get so lost on that map. It's like for sure the one map that I never had down.
Gambit figured it out so early on, and I feel like we all just never knew why. And then when I played them, the last time they were actually Gambit, it just clicked with me, you know?
Yeah.
What's yours?
Haven, man. Love this map.
Haven is good too, actually.
For the books with how he's been performing here on Abyss.
Haven might be like a sleeper pick for me because it's just mostly because of the composition stuff now as well. You know, where I feel like you could run 3 different comps and still make it look like good.
Yeah.
What's your general opinion on Breach?
I kind of only like it with a neon. If I'm fully honest.
Do you remember the thing of screen?
Just like capitalizability.
Yeah, just because I think that everyone in pro play is so good that the stun doesn't give me too much confidence. I still think it still feels like a 50-50 sometimes, even though we're using some util. So, but normally when you have a neon, I think you're kind of sliding by or going by that it actually feels like you've made the most out of it. See, I'm not the biggest fan. I kind of liked it. I liked it in the Astra trap play era though. That was fun. Like stun into Astra side.
That is one way to do it. And actually, he's
one of the most. Sorry?
I was going to say, at the moment, I only really like it with Neon.
Has managed to elude the entirety of the team. And again,
I think a lot of teams tried the default comp, but essentially with a Neon as well, right?
Yeah. I think
but without Neon, I think I like Cypher's just such a good counter to Neon though. If you don't run, oh my god, if you don't run if you just run Jet, I think Viper Killjoy is probably like a better pick.
I think that's fair. Who do I think will win Ascension? I'm pretty confident Pacific are a league above everyone else. I think they have to mess up, man.
Yes, that's true. That is accurate mathematics.
Like I think most of these teams that I watch right now, pretty much all of the teams that I watch right now, could hang in VCT. They would be fine. They'll probably end in the bottom, but I think they would get some wins.
They literally
when I
said,
watch this
"Let's go
specific
kill that
team,
guy."
I no joke think they can be
And
like
he's
middle,
15-0.
maybe even top of middle if they got a little bit more
He's
structure.
Valorant Jesus.
I think they're, I think some of the talents there are
get it.
insane.
I don't get it.
But it's still very early, and
That's
the
thing,
amount
though.
of stuff that I've
Walking
seen
amongst
isn't
us.
like enough to be 100% confident with that. But we
This is
would
like
never know because their
revenge for
roster.
First
Yeah,
Strike
we would
all
never
those
know.
Years ago.
You're not wrong.
He's just coming back to haunt me.
I mean, they still also might not win.
There's a reason he's the longest lasting.
They're
member
definitely the
of-
favorites.
Of Team Liquid. What,
That one is also
years?
straight up not
Who's on that
possible, right?
roster a
Like
little bit over that, and that
with the
includes
guard
players
roster,
like
at
me.
least they were able to get picked up.
Green,
But this
you know,
roster,
who's
what
that
do
guy?
they even do? Pick up a
They're some of the
like
best players.
force them to pick up potentially 3 other
He was
guys?
there a while. But
Yeah,
Solkis outlasted
I guess so.
everyone.
I
Outlasted
guess
them
the
all.
org.
I am surprised he outlasted.
I
him,
don't
so
even know, man.
he
I guess
is
the
the
org gets
true
the slot,
Valorant
and they would
Jesus.
build around the other two. That's it.
Right.
That's all you can do. And
I'm gonna be honest, bro.
maybe you
I'm
would
just gonna
keep
leave it there.
the
Oh, Barca are on their way to the B
you would
side.
keep the
Focus
17-year-olds
is 27
and put him in
HP.
midway
This may
through
be the lowest we've
July,
seen him, and he strikes back with an
the
ultimate.
stage 2.
He's trying to hunt them down.
The thing
He's
is
not
though,
found any of
like
his shots. The pressure's on
the
rest of the squad, and yet-
actual
oh,
requirements,
he's
like
caught away.
logistically, of
Malsey
setting
with a
up
nice shot.
organizations in
The
Berlin
chance here, though,
is
for Barca
This is the
still
round.
so
This is
much,
the round.
you know?
This is the round.
I
This
don't
round,
know
guys.
if
What
I
is the
believe
org? What is Pacific? Is it? I've never heard this org.
Barca
It's
will
super
take him
small.
down.
Really?
you know? I mean,
Wait,
it's like
someone
it's one of
look
those
at Messi.
Turkish ones that is
Doesn't even
just
play for them anymore.
like there's a whole like network, you know, there.
Okay.
Oh, like super
Whoa.
small org. Oh my god.
What a
That
shot,
was
bro.
Phil
Dude, how is this
one
team?
man.
This team's.
Why is it retake?
What's
They
happened,
didn't get
man?
the plant down yet.
Where was this? Everyone's one
Our
tapping.
producer is Spanish.
Yeah,
and
what he's saying is
says
they'd have to take out
absolutely loving
a
this
loan
right
or something
now.
crazy,
Really
and then.
enjoying
Oh
watching
my god, everyone's doing it.
the Spanish team.
But
Solskjaer
Soka still
now
hasn't
an
died yet.
operator,
The
Shots
king.
are-
trying to get a kill with every single weapon.
Mostly will get the kill.
So normally,
Hand
there's a
size,
curse on this stream.
win the round, or more
And if I
importantly,
can
I don't
pull it
believe in
out-
curses.
kill
Oh,
Nope.
okay. I see.
for the first time. He's got to deal with Malsey first. I think he's dead.
No.
See,
That's
Malsey's getting the
kill now.
unfortunate. Solskjaer somehow he gets dinged at the beginning
but-
of the round, and he lives to
Like
fight
because
another
they have
day.
to set up everything, you know?
Of
Ah,
course.
And it would be
it's-
fine
it's
if you
expensive.
had
Plugged into the
security, but
mainframe
the
at
pro
this
with
point.
the new system,
He's
you
completed
don't
Ready
have
Player
any
One,
security, right?
and he's now
Like you can set up operations
he's
this year
controlling the bullets.
and
That's-
bottom, like
that's
what
my
is it,
best.
4,
That was
and immediately be
insane.
And then
relegated.
you're out. Yeah,
Little
this thing, it's a
flip.
risk.
Hey, you don't
for
even
you.
get the chance to like do it again, you know?
Yeah. No,
That's
it'll be-
crazy.
It'll be interesting to see what
An
happens.
instant. If he takes his knife
Yeah,
out at
it
the wrong
definitely
moment, another
doesn't
shock dart
all
fired
link together
early.
perfectly,
He
does
dodged
it?
it this time.
The
Don't be falling
system.
for that trick.
No comment. I've commented enough. Who's who's your like favorite player that you've ever worked with? From like
Yumpy.
Yumpy?
Yumpy. Yeah.
Okay, that was a quick one. I don't know if Yumpy's in the chat, but damn.
Yeah, I love Yumpy, man.
15 kills.
He's like a brother, man.
Two more rounds.
That's nice.
They're almost
Two
there.
more rounds.
But Tom, it's the
Perfect
pistol.
person to have
Listen,
on a
if you're
team.
talking about surviving in the
die.
ring,
Just,
this is the
yeah, I
one
can't say
on
enough
one.
enough good about him, man.
They'll win this round. He'll
I
survive.
really like
He'll
Yumpy
die
as a
next
player.
round, and they'll win.
He's
I don't
one
know
of
him
those-
personally at all, but
He'll hunt.
He's one of those guys that if he
I'll
gets a
actually
trial,
cry.
he'll get into that team. I have no
I
doubt.
hope
Just
he's
because they'll be
taking
like, wow,
this
he's
as
like this.
seriously as
Like
us.
that's awesome.
That's all
Oh,
I'm
that's
gonna
sick.
say.
This is the
Dropped him?
Sulcus
I didn't
game.
drop
This
him.
is the Sulcus
I
game. Who's that guy?
removed
What?
myself from the
He's
team
green.
before I dropped him.
This is the Sulcus game right here.
I would have dropped him though for an
11
IGL
and
straight up.
1.
I would have dropped any of
I
them
don't
from an
know how
IGL,
to explain
but
this
I
series.
they didn't want to make a change,
This
so
is-
I
this
removed
is
myself.
honestly
He gets
where-
knifed. An 18
do
and
you
0.
like
He's now
have
18
any
and 3,
players
so they're
that
what?
you would have liked to pick up back then, like
In this half?
feasibly?
Disappointing.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I
Can
mean-
he get anything more
I mean,
from this
any
situation?
any of
His
the
dart
IGLs
not
really.
gonna reveal his opponent.
Yeah.
That's another
Yeah,
death of the
we
talent.
didn't
Brody?
really.
Size
Mm,
continues. to be
Pro-
a
So I
probably
don't know.
comeback.
That's like the first name that comes
6
to mind because he's
rounds
also
now, the
friends with Link.
difference.
yeah,
4
yeah.
in a row.
I think it would always need to
Maybe
be.
Haven's just very defensive side.
I mean, Brody actually did pretty good in his teams, to be
Brody's
honest.
good,
I-
dude.
it would have
Brody's
to be
not
like a trial
all
to
too
see
many
what they're
times.
like.
Yeah,
From
for
this
sure.
point forward, that
Okay.
is
But we didn't really get a
jump scare and
chance.
half
Like
for
as
him, I
soon as
think, walking down short and
as
just
soon as
catching a
Cryptics
bullet to the
left, it
head.
was pretty much.
Of course, yeah,
I'm
you're
not
dead
gonna go
right.
into
It
too
was
much, but it
Avova
was pretty
using his
much
shrouded step to
you're
get
getting
across to
Nivera,
short.
which was
Nestles
fine
himself in
because
that
he's
position,
great.
and they just don't think
but
anyone could have
we
crossed,
didn't really
'cause
have that
barring him,
opportunity
you
to
would have
try
seen
get
them,
an
right?
IGL. And then when
Yeah.
I wanted to try get an IGL, no one else was on board. So.
Not a short. So,
we trialed Nivera at the end of Like,
Apeks
no,
looking towards
pre.
the B site quite
Last year.
When did we trial him?
Kayak's up top, dodged the
Last year,
reveal,
right?
now looking for the shots,
No,
can't
actually,
find
we
it,
trialed
Size
him. Yeah, last year.
dropping
Yeah, yeah.
him,
You're
but
right.
was
the
it?
plan is still
Beast?
secured.
I like him.
Yeah,
I
he's a
mean,
beast, man.
They're going to fall back into the
just a
post
good
plant,
player,
lock
you know.
down
I
more
think he
force.
would do very well in like a team that
Flames
is.
out completely.
I mean, he did good with us,
With
but
the
it was
operator.
kind of the same thing
Gonna
where
try and catch them on the flank.
I think there were like a couple of names that we
These have been in
considered
play
with him
even
if
since
we
Buds was
hadn't
playing
gone for
Killjoy.
Redgar, right?
That's
Because
already
this was
gonna
the
be
same thing for us, right?
hyper-eliminated.
Like,
This now
I mean,
becomes more
I
and more of a
think that
problem.
Igor is
Let's
also very
use
good.
a
Did you ever
decent
work with him?
cleanup
No,
with the
right?
trades coming in. They can
No,
find
it was-
I did a little bit
Yeah.
of stuff like January when they made the team, but I pretty much backed down because it was way too many cooks. I kind of wanted
I feel like
them. I did an icebox for them
I don't know.
because
Yeah.
I said that
I think I've
I said that
seen
they
this
would
one
lose an
before.
icebox if they played icebox. So
Yeah.
I just did like a cheesy icebox that would get them like 2 wins or so.
Not quite the
Yeah.
same, no.
But they wanted to try and
No,
like
not
long term
part
it
for
do
part, but
a more traditional comp.
Cool.
So I worked a little bit. I saw like a little bit of what was going down.
feasible, possible.
I mean, I think
Is it
Redgar
Redgar
is like-
foot off the gas again?
he just
No.
like he wasn't
These
really
bars
able
are coming
to.
up big with some rounds.
I
And
think
then
he brings a lot of
Size,
value
being able to find
outside
those
of the
late
server, if that
plays
makes
around
sense for me.
bottom mid.
Like I
I
think
mean,
he's just he is a good leader.
It's not the second round in a row. It's
I
2
just
out of
think that
3.
stuff didn't also
but
not work out for him
either way,
properly this year. I don't. I
Size
think it
is
just
just
had a little bit of an off
consistently
year,
I
and
also think
unfortunately,
numbers
calling
around
in,
there,
I think
Apeks,
he's a good example
we
of
might
like
see them
calling in
either just
your
avoid
native language
these
and
B
calling in
plots
yeah,
altogether.
English.
for sure.
It's a
move
bit
towards the
different. Man.
extremities. They've had a little bit more success in post.
I mean, I also will say that
at least in avoiding
not
the main guy who's popping off
discredit
right now.
him as an IGL, but I think in both
I
of the
think we'll see a
teams,
much
I
more
mean,
direct
Liquid
approach coming into
less
this round.
last year
They have
because you
100
still had
Fury,
Save,
they have
you
a
had
Rolling Thunder,
you
it's
know
11-6.
Nats, you had
They're not
Yumpy
looking
to
to
some
break
degree who
But
was
it's a
firing
stacked
super
roster.
hard.
economy.
It's a
Yeah.
stacked
That won't be
roster, and
happening for
Giants
quite a
was
while.
definitely a little bit less stacked. You know,
By that point,
I think.
the game is no longer afoot.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
That push
Yeah,
is
I'm kind of
risky.
surprised
Size
Nivera didn't get picked up.
immediately
I think he's
cancels
really
it.
good.
I think
He's
that's
a little
good
bit
call,
quiet.
and especially with Maniac
I feel like he
pose,
would have gotten picked up this offseason. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, if he went
He
for
went
it.
back to CS, right?
Yes, yeah.
Space
Yeah.
taken, but the
I
timing
think he plays with
couldn't be
MBK and
worse.
stuff now. I think that's right.
French
Started
PS
to
is
really
booming
slip
right
away.
now,
I think
dude.
Apeks
I feel
trying
like
to
the
force the issue,
3D
looking
Max
too
roster
much
and
in
stuff,
these
they're all doing
rounds,
very
trying to
good.
catch the
Yeah.
timing, and it just isn't working out for them.
It's just a
That's
completely
another
different
2
ecosystem,
opening
man.
picks
You can
found
be a
within the first
top
30
100
odd seconds
or
of the
top
round.
like maybe not 100, maybe 100's a
Looking
stretch.
like a third,
You
yeah,
can be a
Jesse
top
waiting patiently.
80,
Another looking like he'll come up
70s
before, but
team
maybe
and
even
make a
flawless
pretty
round. They know exactly
good living just because there's so
where
many tier 2
Halsey currently
tournaments.
sits with a round that had
I
pretty much
think,
everything
and
they
again,
could've
also with
needed.
just the amount of like
It will be
general
a round
sponsorships
eventually
that we
going
have
away. In
everywhere,
fact,
right?
it is
You
flawless.
also get opportunities that have higher base salaries
Yeah.
compared to like the same.
this gap is
Because
starting
top
to get more
100
and more
in Valorant
concerning
is
for the
tier
side
2,
of Apeks. They
right?
are
And there's
it's
teams in
part-
tier
it's
2 that are
to
by
walk back
definition
into this,
not
but
making any money.
there's also a
Yeah,
couple of
the top
well-placed
like the
pieces
actual
of
100th team is
aggression.
probably tier
Jack
3, man.
Flats to the
Really,
end, a little
for sure.
overzealous.
and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that
But you
you
can
were
see
gonna
the
say
start of the
that some
round,
tier
Barca
3 teams
wanting to
from
fight
specific
down
regions
C1,
are better
they get
than
pushed
some tier
back
2 teams,
Yeah.
right?
by the
for
drone.
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
Immediate response as
The
well.
NA
Like,
tier
that
2
was
is
important. Her
incredible.
size goes down right off.